Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
You are listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We're wanted men.
Welcome to episode 235 of the Smugglers Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. Hey, Casey Kasen's with us this morning. I'm Glenn. There's Jason.
Casey Kasem?
Huh?
Casey Kasem?
Yeah, don't you? When he was like, welcome to what? When he would always be like, and how you doing?
Okay.
I lost it. It just as soon as you said it, it went out. I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
Just clarifying.
Yeah, Casey Kasem, the guy that did Shaggy.
Yeah.
And American Bandstand and all that stuff, right? Did
America's Top 40. America's Top 40.
Yeah,
Coming up now.
There you go.
Coming up now. This little man has been all across the galaxy, recently playing at a cantina. You're about to listen to Figuring Dan and the Modal Nodes.
There you go. Yes. Did you ever hear the video of him like freaking out because they did like a really upbeat song, and then one of the requests or whatever letters that came in was about some kid dying or losing his dog.
Yeah.
And then they played the other song, and he got like totally lost it because he's like, you can't do that.
No, you can't change on a dime like that sometimes.
And he just lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, how you doing, Jason?
I'm here.
You're here.
Surviving.
Time changed morning.
Yeah, this needs to end. This is silly.
Yeah. We're recording at 9:30, which is really 8:30, which, yeah, I messaged Jason at like 9:15. Dude, I'm just getting up.
Oh, stupid.
Give me a half hour. I'll be ready. So,
I'm more of a daylight savings ending kind of guy than beginning.
Yeah.
I feel great when we fall back.
Mm-hmm.
And then all through that season, I'm fine. And then we spring forward, and I'm usually just exhausted in the morning. I can never adjust. Anyways, stay positive.
One of the two needs to end. I don't know which, like, I guess you were saying we need to stay on the old way, not the new way. Like, stay where we were, don't spring forward or whatever. But
yeah, and I can't wait this week to see the congressman who introduced the bill that will never see the light of day about stopping this. And it's supposed to end already.
yeah, I know like Arizona don't do it. So when my parents were living in Arizona, it was really weird this time of year because they normally like 3 hours off, and then all of a sudden they're 4 hours off. And
yeah, Indiana too, they don't do it.
Oh, wow.
But they're right on the line, so it doesn't really like affect them.
Oh,
They're on the time zone line, I guess.
gotcha. Yeah, and then it's going to stink because it'll be 11 o'clock tonight and we'll not be able to go to bed. Yeah.
That's what melatonin's for.
Yes, sir. Maybe I need to take some. So, what you get this? You get anything this week?
Yeah, I got and I can get into this a little bit later. I got the vintage collection R Sing. I stopped into ZoloCon for an hour.
Ooh.
So I'll get into that in a little bit. And then I also picked up the Micro Galaxy Squadron Series 6. Was it the Starfighter with the Kenner X-Wing?
Uh-huh.
It was the first time I didn't have any of those vehicles. I waited for this drop, and something must be going on because it's as of this recording, it's still available and it dropped on Wednesday. Normally, or it used to be those things sold out within an hour or two. Now it's still available. So
I think people are getting pissed because the some of that stuff's starting to show up at Ross now. Some of the vault stuff.
yeah, I was extremely upset about that because I did buy that Return of the Jedi thing. It was limited to 3,000. It was a special edition pack with like special speeder bike, a special ATST painted with new updated deco, like muddy.
Yeah.
Comes with figures and such. And yeah, that was $40 at the time. And then it was limited to 3,000, sold out. And then all of a sudden they all started appearing at Ross for $5.
Yeah, I probably need to go to a Ross and look, but I've gotten so far out of that line that I'm aggravated with it, and I'm sure that's what's happening with um all that stuff. Why that vault set hasn't sold yet? Because
Yeah.
people are just lost with the line. They're done with it. I'm waiting for the TIE Defender to come out. That's the one I'm looking forward to, just because that's a freaking awesome ship and it's got so many ties to Rebels. But after that, I don't know what else I'm looking for on that line.
But I'll tell you, the frustrating thing is that it was sold out, like I was saying. And then some of them have been found where the sealing tape, there's tape that seals the product in the box.
Uh-huh.
The sealing tape is on top of the Ross sticker, meaning they put the Ross sticker on. So these were specially planned for Ross.
That's interesting. I wonder if maybe they thought that they needed to seal the packaging after they put the raw sticker on so that people wouldn't open it to deter people from opening it at the
It was
store.
the tag was put on at in the factory, essentially.
Right.
So these were set aside for Ross. They must have had extras, and they decided to just seal them up and send them to Ross. But still, um, this was supposed to be a limited thing. It's sold out, no longer available. Starts showing up at Ross. It's extremely frustrating, and I'm just tired. I'm just tired of this.
Right. Well, we'll yeah, you were at a place where you could have done that, something about it, or at least complained. But anyway, get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pick anything up?
Actually I did. We went to this, there was this thing in Marietta, downtown Marietta. It was called like Geek the Gathering or something. And it was basically a geek arts and crafts show. So like anybody who had like geeky stuff, they did arts and crafts, were there, and I picked up like some little Rebels, like 4x4 inch pieces of art. They did one for each of the Spectres, and they're done like album covers. So they fit like they're perfect because they fit in like one spot on my wall that I had no room for anything else. So I bought those, and then I went to Hallmark because it's my grandmother's birthday on the 10th, which was yesterday. Hold on, because we're recording on Sunday, we release on Tuesday. Monday's my grandma's birthday. So I went to Hallmark to pick her up a card, and I hit the 90% off wall, and they had the Cad Bane for 90% off. So
Oh,
if you don't have Cad Bane, they had like 10 of them at the one near us off of Bell's Ferry. Or not Bell's Ferry, Barrett, by
okay.
the mall.
I will swing in there.
Yeah, I meant to tell you, and I just totally forgot.
I'm gonna swing in there
But
today.
I asked her, I said, "Are these the ones with the mold?" And she goes, "No, we had to. I don't think so because we got a bunch in afterwards." So as I was ringing up, I put in my discount code or whatever. I get them to look up my account, and I'm like, "How much do I have any coupons?" And go, "Yeah, you have a $5 coupon." So I got everything for 50 cents, a card
Wow.
and Cad Bane.
Wow.
So yeah, that was my steal of the week. But yeah, that's all I've picked up. I don't plan on picking anything up. Hope maybe at Toylanta, but we'll see if anything pops out. I don't.
Yeah, I hope to get a vintage collection Kanan, Sabine, and Shopper to go with my ghost. I need those. And
Gotcha.
that's what I plan on getting at Toylanta.
Yeah. Are you gonna open them?
Yes.
Okay.
I already have them closed or in box, but
Inbox. Yeah. It.
I'm shocked at the number of clone bodies used in the vintage collection. It's the same body, it's just different paint.
Right.
And after opening a bunch of figures and holding these clones in my hand, I'm like, wait a minute. This is the exact same body as the previous one. And it's almost like they used it 7 times in the past couple years.
Are you surprised? I mean, this is something we've been complaining about. And I forgot that you were helping out with the book, getting everything, helping with photography. So yeah, I was like, where is
Yeah.
he going with this? And then I remembered, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're really hands-on, so you're seeing it right
I'm
now.
seeing it. It's one thing because they have different paint applications, different clones, different cards, but then holding them together, it's like it's the same body. This is the same body as the one I just held. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But Hasbro had a live stream right before Toy Fair and they released a bunch of new stuff.
Mhm.
Or they showcased a bunch of new stuff. For the vintage collection, there's the Land Speeder, which was Pipeline that wasn't shown. So there's a new Land Speeder for the vintage collection. There was one that came out right at the start, but this is, I think, the Black Series one scaled down.
Huh.
So it's I think it's different from the one they released previously.
Mhm.
Vintage collection Hammerhead with the Power of the Force 2 blaster, which I'll get into in a minute. Panda Baba, Walrus Man, he's coming on a new card back. So if you've got the Cantina, the one that, came out on the vintage collection's like $60. So if you get this one, it's only what, 16, $17. It's cheaper.
Yeah. Which I thought that was cool. He came with both sets of hands.
Yeah, he came out with that one too.
Oh, did he? Well, never
Yeah,
mind
original
then.
release. Because they repackaged this one in the Black Series, so it had the small Walmart Black Series box packaging. They repackaged it.
Uh-huh. Oh, the very highly articulated
Yes.
3 3/4 Black Series.
Yeah. The Vintage Collection Imperial Armored Commando. That's the Mandalorian one. It's like it's a stormtrooper mashed up with a Mandalorian.
Okay.
If you remember that from season 3,
Yeah.
he's coming out in the Vintage Collection. He's going to be on a deluxe card. Moff Gideon in his Mandal. Oh, so that's all they announced for the Vintage Collection. For Black Series, there's Moff Gideon in his Mandalorian season 3 armor.
Hmm.
The Praetorian Guard from Mandalorian season 3, Cassian Andor, Senar test pilot. So there's a new Cassian coming out from the new show.
I'm actually, before you go on to the next one, I'm really surprised they released that Andor, because that's like I guess maybe because they showed it in the previews, but they normally don't do that before a show comes out.
Yeah,
Have a little spoiler, but I
yeah.
guess that's like the first, and that's something maybe we all need to pay attention to. It's something small, but the fact that they released a spoiler of a new show before it's out,
What's the spoiler?
I mean, I guess him
That he
piloting
disguises
the
himself
ship.
as a pilot.
Yes,
Well, we see him in the trailer, which I guess we can talk about the trailer too.
right.
The trailer was phenomenal. We do see him piloting some new prototype tie of some sort.
Right, but you don't see him in a full uniform. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
You don't see him disguised. You just see I thought I saw him in his normal outfit or
Yeah.
normal clothes. Not
Yeah.
in a uniform, but
Um, Dr. Krennic is being re-released. He's obviously in Andor. He was in the trailer.
yeah.
But this is the straight Rogue One piece that we previously got with the hard cape, which I don't like hard capes, especially
Yeah.
ones that wrap around bodies like that because it really limits how you, and I'm inbox collector complaining about this, but it really limits how you can display these things. And they for episode 1 they released like an Anakin with a cape wrapped around him like he's being swaddled like a baby.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do with it. You can't like hold out the lightsaber because that cape kind of prevents the arm from going up.
Right. You legitimately have to pull you'd have to take the cape off to display it
Yes.
any decently.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of those, but that's coming back and it's going to come in Andor packaging. They formally showed off the Black Series, and this is rumored for a while. Um, Revenge of the Sith packaging.
I
They're
saw that. That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, they're re-releasing Commander Cody, Count Dooku, Kit Fisto, R2D2, and a 501st Trooper.
Hmm.
So all 5 of those will be Walmart exclusives. And then there's a new 501st Black Series helmet. So all those things were shown off right before Toy Fair, and then they were on display at Toy Fair.
Yeah, I did. You know anybody that got to go to Toy Fair, Jason?
And then Kathleen Kennedy was interviewed. There was rumors right before Toy Fair that Kathleen Kennedy was retiring. It was reported in Deadline. Some former Hollywood reporter guy broke the story. He said he had multiple sources, and then they came out and said there's no announcement of retirement,
Yeah,
which doesn't mean she's not retiring. If you listen to Newspeak, the way they talk, it's like she's not coming out to say she's retiring. That doesn't mean she doesn't plan on retiring.
right. Well,
Um,
and I've also heard on another podcast that the way that it was the way that the release was written felt like a press release instead of a just hey, this is what I'm hearing release.
yeah.
So that people were kind of like it doesn't sound something's fishy about that whole thing.
So after all of that, after the reports came out that she was retiring, she came out and had a Deadline article. She was interviewed by them, and she said, "The truth is, and I just want to say it loud and clear, I'm not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That's the first thing that's important to say. I am not retiring. What's happening at Lucasfilm is I have been talking for quite some time with Bob and Alan, Bob Chapek. Sorry, is it Bob Chapek? Bob Chapek? No, is it Bob Chapek?
I don't know.
Who's the Bob Chapek might be the bad one.
Bob
Bob Iger.
Chapek is the bad one, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Bob
Yes, he
Iger.
is the one
Sorry.
that nobody likes.
Yes. About what eventually succession might look like. We have an amazing bench of people here, and we have every intention of making an announcement months or a year down the road.
Hmm.
So if you follow that right there, we have every intention of making an announcement months or a year down the road, sometime in the next 7, 8, 9 months,
Or the end of the year.
or the end of the. Well, I mean that's the end. I mean it's March, so
Right.
sometime in the next 9 months, there's a chance that they might announce the next president at Celebration. They might wait a little bit longer, but
That'd
Kathleen
be
Kennedy's not retiring from movies, but she is retiring from Lucasfilm at some point.
right. Okay, okay. She's not going to quit making movies, but she's going to quit working for Lucasfilm.
Yes. Or she'll step down as the president, let somebody else come and step up. But
Right.
Simon Kinberg is working on episodes 10, 11, 12. She commented on that. She said, "We're absolutely rolling fast and furiously. That has gone exceptionally well, and he's literally going to script as we speak. We will see something probably around June, which means that he's got some outline for the story arc for episodes 10, 11, 12, and he's decided to start making the scripts for those movies."
Cool.
And then
I hope it's
regarding,
good.
yeah, me too. I don't want bad Star Wars. I just
I
want
hope
good
they
Star
don't
Wars.
rehash A New Hope for a third time.
What just happened?
You could. Oh, did you disconnect your mic? I lost Jason. Did you? Is your mic dead, Jason?
All right, I'm back. I don't know what just happened. It just
Snapped and like
There
I
you
was
are.
static.
Huh. The woes of podcasting, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyways, I'm back, and
Yay!
she commented on Sean Levy's movie, the one that is allegedly starring Ryan Gosling.
Uh-huh.
She said that's also in the future. It's the first 9 Sean. So it's post Rise of Skywalker.
Mhm.
Sean is a standalone Star Wars story that'll take place post 9, maybe 5 or 6 years out. So 5 or 6 years after Rise of Skywalker. And The Mandalorian really stands on its own because there we're dealing with a whole era of New Republic. We have other developments going on that in that space as well. So that's the space that we're pretty much focused on at the moment. But obviously with The Mandalorian, we're pretty good. We have a pretty good sense of where that's going. And with this, it's all pretty much new characters. We may bring some of the characters back from the sequel saga, but it's pretty much new characters.
Interesting. I do have a thought. Do you think Star Wars needs? I mean, I know we've like Ryan Gosling, big stars. Think of it this way, and then maybe I need to attribute this to David Quinn. Um, the fact that Star Wars may need a big star to get people in the theater. How do you feel about that?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think it can make sense. I mean, it does kind of throw you off a little bit. It throws me off on any movie when I'm watching a movie and going, I know a character from another movie. You know, you're like, oh, I know that guy from that movie, and then you got to forget real quick that you know him, that he's an actor, and he's going to act in a bunch of different movies.
Yeah, and I would suggest that, Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson was a huge star when he joined episode one.
Right.
And
But he
that's
had such a, I mean, he had a big role, but a small role at the same time. He wasn't
yeah,
like a main character.
he was a cameo in that first one, but in the second and third one, his role was bigger. And then Liam Neeson was a huge star.
Hmm.
Maybe he's not Tom Cruise size, but he was a name.
Right. But maybe
Star
they need like a Ryan Gosling or somebody to get, I mean, get people in there, somebody
And
that's
then
known better.
I know he was a nobody at the time, but Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford now.
Right.
I mean, he's Harrison Ford. He's one of the biggest stars in the world.
But he's also tied. He's going to be tied to Han Solo for the rest of his life. So
Right.
maybe you can't. That argument Harrison Ford was in Star Wars is kind of invalid because Star Wars made Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
So
but
you can't say, oh, he's in Episode 9, but he's playing a character he's played all his life.
what I'm saying is
Right.
that you're kind of suggesting that big stars shouldn't be in Star Wars.
Oh no, I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying maybe that's what Star Wars needs to give it a pump,
Right. And I'm
a
saying
breath of new life.
they've been there, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Even Oscar Isaac. Oh, what the
Yeah,
hell?
that's true. What? Oh, your mic. Oh, come on, microphone.
I don't know what's going on.
I can't hear how you. It sounds like you're not on your mic, but I can't tell.
You can't hear me.
Now you're there. Yeah, you're
Oh.
back on your mic. There you
Even
are.
even Oscar Isaacs was a star.
Yeah, that's true. And was Daisy Ridley a star when she
No, she
started?
was like the unknown. John Boyega was up and coming.
Mhm.
Uh, but and then they asked about Tony Gilroy, who is the showrunner of Andor seasons 1 and 2. I'm talking quieter because I'm like afraid like popping into the microphone's gonna shut it off again. Um, apparently I'm coming down with a cold too because
Oh, awesome.
I wasn't like this yesterday. Um, Tony Gilroy, season runner of Andor seasons 1 and 2, and then somehow involved with Rogue One, but legally can't talk about it.
Hmm.
Um, will you arm twist Tony into doing one of these Star Wars movies after he was uncredited backstop on Rogue One? She says, I don't know if I can. I don't think he'd ever believed he'd be a decade inside Star Wars. He's writing some things on his own, and I think he's just trying to get back into the director's chair. So we'll see what he's done, but we'll see what he does. But he's such a talent, just fantastic. So it doesn't sound like Tony Gilroy will be back anytime soon, even though he's probably the best thing to happen to Star Wars since George Lucas.
Yeah.
Two final questions. Will you step out as Lucasfilm boss this year? And she says, we really don't know at this stage. There's so much going on, Mike. I don't know, which is not a no. And then what happens? Who will make this decision? She said, me. It's my decision. This is 100% my decision. So reading between the lines, there's something going on under the surface there. She's not coming out saying she's retiring. She's just coming out saying, I'm not announcing that I'm retiring.
Oh, freaking billionaires, millionaires, whatever.
And then there's some reports like Filoni is next in charge, and I think that's just fan casting. There's a difference between running a major company like Lucasfilm and then running the creative.
Right.
And I think a president's role like that is like 10% creative, 90% business.
Yeah.
Would Filoni want to be that? Would we want Filoni in that role?
I want Filoni storytelling and charge of storytelling. I still want to be a fly on the wall when Dave Filoni and John Favreau get together. I want to be in that room and just watch those two guys talk Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think we would just nerd out. It would be so awesome.
Favreau did appear at South by Southwest this weekend,
Uh-huh.
this past weekend, and they brought out those BDX droids that are at Galaxy's at Disneyland.
Right.
Little ones. Those are coming to Tokyo and then Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I'm almost at the point now. If I go to a Disney World park or Disney park, it's going to be Disneyland because Disney World is going to be under construction in like the next 5 years. And I've come to the conclusion that it'll be Disneyland before Disney World if for me if I go to a Disney park.
We're doubling the size of Avengers Campus at Disneyland, so at California Adventure, so that'll be under construction.
Yeah. Oh, is it? When
Yeah.
are they doing that?
Soon. That's what part of the announcement for South by Southwest. They also said that Mandalorian and Grogu will be part of Smugglers Run next May, so in a
Mhm.
year, right in time for the movie. There's going to be a tie-in at Smugglers Run.
About time. Yeah, that ride was supposed to be three different films, and it's the same thing over and over again. So I hope they do that ride some justice.
And then also at South by Southwest, one of those BDX droids came out with an Anzalian on top. Those are the robot rebuilder droids, little guys. Oh,
The Babu.
bad
Yeah.
baby, Babu Frick, those guys.
Yeah.
They had fixed it to a top of BDX, so it looks like it's working on the BDX
That's
as
cool.
it works and or as it walks. And there's one part where it like pulls a wire and the BDX eye sockets turn red, almost like it turns evil for a split second, and then he puts the wire back and it turns white. So
That's
uh,
so
Fe
cool.
Favreau said that the Anzalians will be in the movie,
Mhm.
but I don't know if he meant like this droid that has the Anzalian on top will be in the movie, or if it's just the Anzalian. It was kind of unclear. So we'll see, but the Anzalian will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Well, they've already had him in The Mandalorian, so
Yeah.
and I think he does good. I think that species and Grogu play good off each other, play well off each other.
26 years later, George Lucas's cameo in episode one has finally been revealed.
Ooh.
At the 1 hour, 58 minute, 17-second mark of the film, George Lucas's face can be seen on a stone archway in the background of Naboo. So you know how they have the long hallways in Naboo?
Uh-huh.
And then like there's the scene where they're re-invading the palace and they're a group of the soldiers running and
Yeah.
chasing battle droids. Well, in this section, there's an archway, and in the top of the archway, there's like a round relief, and they hid George Lucas's face in that relief. So that's his cameo.
Awesome. It is funny how like now that things are in 4K and people they can really pause things and really look into it and people are nerding out over this stuff, things that people are finding like that
Yeah.
20 years later.
And then the last piece of news, Rick McCallum was on the Young Indy Chronicles podcast, and he briefly spoke about the Star Wars Underworld TV show that they
Yeah.
were working on shortly before they sold it to Disney. He said about 60 scripts were complete, but when he did the budget of the show, he couldn't get each episode under $40 million,
Oh my God.
which means that the entire show would have cost $2.4 billion to make.
And this is like 20 years ago money, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Essentially, each show is half a movie.
Wow.
Because I think episode one was like 110 million, but George Lucas could charge himself whatever he wanted for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's paying for it.
That's crazy money, man. But I mean, nowadays that's nothing. We'll throw that at a TV show. But I mean, it's also now we're in the world of streaming and TV shows have become movies to us, what the movies used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it for movies. That's all for news.
News.
Sorry, I'm distracted.
Dude, it's all good, man. It's just a weird morning.
Yeah, I woke up with a head cold or nose dripping, and it's the time change. It feels like it's 9 and it's actually 10.
Yeah.
But at the last
Yay.
at the last minute, I got the opportunity to attend Toy Fair
Yeah.
in New York City.
That looked like it was so much fun, man.
It's an interesting thing because it looks like and it feels like a giant convention, but it's a business to business event, so it's not really open to the public. And a lot of these booths are closed off. You have to go in by appointment because they want to control who's attending and who's in their space, and they don't want like a opportunity to sell someone who's just wandering through and then decides to leave. You want to capture their name and their business and uh follow up and all that kind of business to business stuff. So a lot of it's by appointment only. I was not able to get into the Jazzwares booth. It was a pretty sizable booth, but it was, like I said, closed off. But most of everything that, and I know people who went inside, everything that was revealed inside was on the Good Morning America segment. So nothing was secret. They did
Okay.
announce like the Rogue One drop ship with all of the, I don't remember. There's a tie something.
You really are out of it this morning, man.
Yeah. It's a tie something or other that drops off all the Death Troopers in Rogue One. Uh, it's it's coming to Micro Galaxy Squadron. We'll just say
Yeah.
that. Um, there's not a lot of Star Wars, I'll say. Lego was closed off, and Lego you couldn't take photos inside, and I didn't get to go to Lego, but they did have a display outside of their booth that was
Okay.
open to the public that looked like uh, Central Park almost. And they had all these pots, and inside the pots were Lego flowers, which is a big thing right now. All the flowers that you can buy from Legos,
Right.
and those were cool. But yeah, not a lot of Star Wars.
So did you get to see the because I saw pictures of the inside. I mean, I guess because people are posting all kinds of stuff from the Lego booth, and it looked like the Lego booth only was showing stuff that's available now. They had
Yes,
no surprises, which
yes,
I was kind of upset about. I thought Toy Fair was like, this is what's coming out.
not necessarily. It's about selling your product.
Okay.
But like I said, there's a closed off section to Lego that I was not able to get in because I didn't have an appointment.
Hmm.
And there was items in there that they couldn't take photos of, and I really haven't heard much buzz about any Star Wars items that were available. So I don't know.
Yeah, because there's rumors like the Build a Droid, they're doing a chopper Build a Droid, which I really want to see. Um, and it's going to be like $100. But I'm like, man, it just Legos are expensive, but they're awesome. So that was the only thing I have a question about. I'd want to see what that droid looks like.
Yeah. Was able to check out the NECA booth. They had a lot of cool stuff. I really like the Sesame Street figures, but I could tell these are hard copies because they're very sharp with a lot of detail, and it's
Yeah.
an early process,
Yeah, you
early
could
in the
tell on
process.
some of those pictures they were definitely hard copies.
Yeah. Um, but I did get into the Hasbro booth, and I was one of the first to, and I don't say this like say it as a fact, like I was able to post and break the news of what the retro collection looked like on the George Alliance page, and that kind of took off like wildfire. Jeez, I'm so
Those are
tired.
really cool. I was really surprised. Those look really good. And yeah, no, that did take off and everybody was going crazy for those figures. And they
Yeah,
released fairly quick.
yeah, yeah. They're available. I already pre-ordered them.
Yeah.
Uh, Walrus Man is the only figure that is a reprint, I guess, from Kenner days.
Okay.
They even included the original blaster that he came with,
Mm.
but it's the incorrect blaster for Walrus Man. So what they did is for Dr. Ezevan, they included his blaster, and they also included with him Walrus Man's correct blaster. And because this is all coming as a package deal, you'll have both the accurate blaster for the movie, which will just be packaged with Dr. Ezevan, and then the Walrus Man is essentially just a repack of the Walrus Man from Kenner days.
Right. Why wouldn't they put that blaster with Walrus Man? I guess they're trying to keep that whole.
Yeah, they're trying to keep it as it appeared. Like they're just reprinting what Kenner did. They're
Okay.
redoing that without
Gotcha.
changing anything.
Okay.
Um, and then with Dr. Ezevan, they've already released it with the vintage collection. It's essentially the same card, but in the background, they photoshopped out the background and they gave him a red halo because uh in the Ponda Baba one, the Walrus Man, he's got this green halo in the background.
Yeah.
And so they tried to replicate that, but instead of green, they put red. So it really does look like a Kennerish card,
Yeah. I thought
which is
that
cool.
looked good. Yeah.
Yeah. Han Stormtrooper looks great. He comes with two blasters, a typical Star Wars Stormtrooper blaster, but then like a rifle.
Yeah.
Um, Luke Skywalker looks great. I saw a lot of people complaining about how he stands. His legs are too small, his arms are too far out. I'll tell you in person, like none of that stood out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not that picky,
Yeah,
but
I thought people were picking that figure apart pretty hardcore. I didn't think um, I think they can't get a good likeness of Mark Hamill to save their life, but I thought it was a decent look. I thought all those figures looked great.
yeah, he
I
co-
know the Han and Stormtrooper people have been wanting that one for a minute, for a long time.
yeah. It's Han and Stormtrooper. His bucket is a soft kind of vinylish plastic. It's not a hard plastic.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. It's just a fact. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
Well, I think
it's
it's good because um, it could stop people from getting ripped off. I mean, I don't know how close it looks to the Luke Skywalker bucket, or if it
maybe.
would, I'm sure you'd be able to tell if you look
Yeah,
at them side by side. But
yeah,
if you know, oh, this is soft plastic, okay, this is a Han bucket, not a Luke bucket, because that's $100 piece.
right. So yeah, that'll be released.
Yeah, no, those look great. I thought they looked good.
Oh, there's a couple more things. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Go for it.
Let me finish the retro and then you can give your
Yeah.
2 cents. And then so that's that. And then Luke Skywalker ceremony. He comes with a Leia blaster, which I guess is the appropriate blaster for that scene, but the blaster's holstered in his holster. So it's there and the Rebel Fleet Trooper, I really didn't focus much on it. It's just a good figure.
Mhm.
And then the Sand Trooper comes with like it almost looks like a mashup of a rifle and a Tommy gun, which I guess is the appropriate thing for that character.
Uh-huh.
But they did simplify it to make it look like it's a Kenner blaster. But I thought that one looked great too, and the backpack is molded into the character itself. So I thought it was a solid lineup, and I was very excited to pre-order those, and I think they knocked it out of the park. I think this one was a home run.
Yeah. No, I think they finally gave people the pack that they wanted. Nobody wanted the acolyte or I think people wanted the shoot, I'm sorry, the prequel stuff, but this is the stuff that retro should have been doing from the start. Was
Right.
a pack like this. And I think they would have hit retro out the park if they would have opened up with this pack versus, well, no, do the first 12 and then immediately go into what they just released. And I think retro would have hit it out the park. And it'd be a whole new line and it would have got people excited.
Yeah, I'm excited, especially if they do all new figures from now on.
Uh-huh.
No more reissues.
Yes.
So we'll see if that actually happens.
No, that was cool. No, they're great looking figures. I thought um you had some Back to the Future figures on there, and then they were all
From
there was
NECA.
those
No, Super 7. Super
Super
7.
Seven, but they're all have knee and elbow joints, and I was like,
Yes.
that's awesome. How hard would that have been for like I know Star Wars wants to keep everything 5 points, but how hard would that have been to put for Star Wars or Hasbro to bring that into the Star Wars line to have just a little bit extra articulation in the figures?
Yeah, I don't think it would be too difficult. I think it's just cheaper for 5 points of articulation, less assembly,
Yeah.
easier to produce. You just pop in the arm. You don't have to worry about joints and stuff. So, and these figures are essentially $10 each.
Right. Yeah, that's a big because the Super 7, even before they put the articulation in, they were hitting $20 for the basically the same figure that Hasbro's charging $10 or $12 for.
Right.
Which that kept me away from buying a lot of the Super 7 stuff, because I forgot who did because somebody else was doing those figures and they were like $10 or $15. And then when Super 7 took over, they moved them up to 20. So
Yeah.
but I guess with
Uh,
the points of articulation, it kind of changes the game a little bit. Maybe they did that because they're like, we got to put some value in these toys.
maybe.
But
From there, I was able to see all the stuff that they announced in the live stream.
uh-huh.
Uh, and I have to say, the Hammerhead looks great
Okay.
for a vintage collection. The Power of the Force 2 blaster, which I absolutely loved because I thought it was such an insane blaster when it first came out, it was just over exaggerated and intense, like the whole entire line. They've made it more subtle and more realistic.
Okay.
So when he holds it, it's like yeah, I could see that in Star Wars now because it seems like it's more of a natural size. It's not this massive like Tommy gun that a mini gun that Arnold Schwarzenegger holds in Terminator 2. This is more
I'd be back.
appropriate. Yeah, this is more appropriate for the figure.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I got that. I did pick that up. Yeah, so I pre-ordered that one. But they also showed off like the Deidre Miro figure from the vintage collection, and believe it or not, I was blown out of the water with the likeness of the one that they had on display.
Uh-huh.
It
Which one
looked
is
like
that one?
Deidre Miro is the ISB agent from Andor.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Um, she looked phenomenal. She looked exactly like the actress, and I'm like, this is just a 3.75 figure, and it's just spot on. So that really blew me away. They also had the Streets of Mos Eisley playset out.
Hmm.
And that really did disappoint me because it is just molded plastic. There's zero paint application on it,
Ooh.
and it's like a very white tan.
Uh-huh.
So it comes across as plastic. It's not like the hallways where they're able to get away with the 10 of 4 hallways white. It needs to be pristine. It looks great. Some of those Moff Gideon hallways are darker, so you can get away without the paint application. But this one, the streets of Tatooine are dirty. They're supposed to be grimy. There's supposed to be
Yeah.
different color sands, and it came across as just very, very molded plastic to me, which I was very disappointed in that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I can see that because isn't that like a $70 piece? It
yeah,
was
it's sixty
expensive.
dollars. Yeah, and it comes with that Jawa,
Okay.
and I think the Jawa has just limited articulation. He doesn't have knee articulation. And so they were limited with how they could display that Jawa.
Hmm.
But um,
I mean, that jaw was a small figure. I don't know how you would put knee articulation in that.
yeah. And he was on the steps in the display and his legs were kind of angled, so they faked it. So it
Hmm.
looked like he was sitting. I mean, I have a little droid here, and it was kind of angled down at a 45-degree angle, and he was sitting on the steps
Uh-huh.
like that. But we'll have to see and see what it looks like when it actually arrives because I didn't get a
Yeah.
close-up look at it.
Did you pre-order one? Or is it up for pre-order yet?
It is up for pre-order. I can't remember if I pre-ordered, which is part of my problem lately, is I can't remember and then I miss things like the Java
Uh-huh.
completely dropped the ball on VC66A
Until they re-released it and you're like,
until they
yes,
re-released it and I
you
was
got
able
the
to grab it.
re-release of it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's disappointing because I mean they have pushed that they were going to really get into Tatooine this year, and when they don't want to put a paint app on something, it or don't want to take it the next level, it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
And they've got the with everything coming out with Tatooine because they got the cantina and everything, so people are going to want this stuff.
Yeah.
And if you do a crap job with it, nobody's going to buy it.
Um,
But
trying to
then
think.
again, real quick, it was funny because I meant to say this when we had John on last week because he was complaining about paint apps. It's like every person that we talk to that does that the designer we talk to, they always complain about paint apps. How they have like one, people are
Yeah.
the designer, the budget people are always like, well, that's 10 cents more per figure, and they pull it out. So
Yeah.
paint apps have been something that designers have been battling with engineers or budget people their whole, forever.
I think just a darker brown wash on the Streets of Tatooine playset would have just been enough.
Hmm.
Because like I said, it just looks like molded plastic at this point. It doesn't look like the Streets of Tatooine, and just a simple wash would have fixed that. It would have fallen into the cracks and crevices of the walls of that playset, and it just would have made it feel more finalized.
Yeah. I mean, also, do you think Kenner, or not Kenner, Hasbro is kind of not pulling back, but maybe you're thinking people are going to do their own thing to it?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because I've seen people do that with the Ghost and it looks really good. They'll take the underneath and put a wash on it and it looks really good, but I just don't have that kind of time or patience.
I did see the chopper in Imperial disguise. He
That
looks
looks so
cool.
good.
He looks cool. Um, what else did I see? Cassian Andor, the one we were talking about, the spoiler from season 2.
Yeah.
He looks great. He looks just like
Yeah.
uh what's the actor's name? Gosh, I am. Not myself today.
I
Looks
can't
just
even.
like Cassian, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Moff Gideon and this
Hmm.
that armor that he has. Those looked great. The Count Dooku they showed off for the Episode 3 Black Series. That looked phenomenal. So a lot of good stuff. I think they're doing great
Hmm.
work. It's just expensive work and a lot of the same kind of work because essentially this Episode 3 stuff is all repacks.
Right.
Um, I'm not breaking any news here. I'm just saying that for the Cantina, uh, if there was a figure that would be most likely to be made on its own, it would be Ariel Schultz because he was cobbled together from other figures.
Hmm. Is that the Wolfman?
That's the Wolfman that didn't make the thing.
Okay.
It was a 17,000 backer tier, and they only went to what 16,000. So he never was unlocked.
Uh-huh.
But unlike I was saying, unlike everything else, he was cobbled together from other figures for the most part.
Uh-huh.
So if there was one figure out of that whole bar that would be more likely to be made, it would be Arleel Schultz than anyone else because there's all new tooling involved with everyone else.
Got you. So they've already got so what you're saying is they've already got it all made. They just need to take a piece from here, a piece from there, and put it together.
If they wanted to. There's no plan to do that right now,
Hmm.
but if they wanted to, it would be
Yeah.
very easy to do and cost effective.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they would do that because then it would take value away, I think, from the Hasbro Pulse, not Hasbro, HasLab stuff, because then people would, because we've learned as collectors, like this piece, the Walls of Tattoo, Streets of Tatooine, it's $70, $60, you were saying. We wait a year, it'll be 30 at Ross or 20 at Ross.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think if they release that figure, it would be taking value away from HasLabs. So I
yeah.
don't see them releasing that, even though it would be an easy release.
I don't know if they won't do it though, because it's so easy to make.
Okay,
They're leaving money on the table.
gotcha.
So we'll see. Maybe it's a different card art.
Yeah.
Same figure, different card. You don't get the HasLab version, you get this version. The HasLab version will never be made, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
there's also like we're waiting for them to re-release the Rebels from the HasLab on different cards, and they haven't done that either,
I
which
get
would be
this.
an easy re-release.
I get the sense that some of the previously made Cantina figures will not be re-released or
Uh-huh.
updated just because of budget and time. A lot of those older figures, um, like Jasper and Moff they can't sit down in the Cantina.
Mhm.
But I just don't see Hasbro reapproaching those. So um, I think the best bet is to get those figures. Like I have been slowly collecting them. There's a couple that I still need, and they'll just have to stand around the bar tables. They won't be able to sit down, but Hasbro will probably support it like they continue to support the Barge
Mhm.
and the Razor Crest. They're slowly doing things like they just released the Blurg for the Razor Crest that was released, years ago.
Right.
So I
Yeah, I
just
could
want
see them.
setting expectations.
Yeah, I could see them definitely doing that because, like you said, they're. It seems they're still supporting the older HasLab, and with the Ghost, it was like, well, here's 5 figures, and that's all, or 6 figures, and that's really all we can do. Versus something like the Barge and the Razor Crest and the Cantina. The Cantina is endless with
Yeah.
the amount of stuff they can do. They can keep producing stuff for that for years if they want to.
So I got approval on Thursday to go to Toy Fair. Drove up Friday, got in at 1, got to Toy Fair around 11, stayed there until close, hung out with friends until about 1, got up at 6, drove to Philly on Sunday for ZoloCon. We were there for about an hour. Um, and that's where I was able to pick up the Aura Sing, which hasn't even hit Amazon yet.
Wow.
It's like a repack, but it was only $15. I'm like, I'll grab that. I saw Blake. I was just
Yeah, at
walking.
AFA, yeah.
Yeah, I was just walking. He's like, hey, Jason. I'm like, was that me? Because there's no way anybody here knows me. And yeah, it was Blake. And he wanted to come to our meetup, the bowling one, but he said he was at CollectorCon,
Oh, geez.
which turned out to be just like a Pokemon trading card convention,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which they got to come up with a better name than CollectorCon because it seems like an umbrella term collector. It should be like Catch a Mall Con or something.
Right. And Collector Con, that's sort of a a franchise because they have one here, and I've noticed that they've done them in several other states. And Steve Bloom was here with CollectorCon, and I was real tempted to go, but
Oh,
then you run the money, and you're like, it cost me $200 just to meet that guy,
yeah.
because I knew what the CollectorCon was, so I just didn't. I didn't go, and I probably should have.
Um, but I did walk the floor, spent about an hour there, saw Eric Janicki. It was great catching up with him. I missed a lot of people because they were there on Saturday. They weren't there on Sunday.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I just picked up the one figure and took off. I did pick up some cases from AFA, and I need to do that again
Yeah.
this at Toylanta. But yeah, it's a great show. A lot of great stuff was available. I was told by Eric Janicki they can't keep Action Fleet on the shelves. They usually sell out pretty well, which was surprisingly.
Wow.
So I guess I better pick up the things that I want before they get out of my price range.
I mean, do you think that can be attributed to Micro Galaxy?
It could be. It could also just be, the 90s. Everything from the 90s is starting to take off again.
Right.
And so we've hit that cycle. Kids want the things that they had when they were kids. So if they had Action Fleet, they're going to want to start purchasing that stuff. So, and then I was also able to hit up 3 Wegmans,
Did you
which
get
is a
some
grocery store.
salted potatoes? Salt potatoes?
No, I didn't get salt potatoes because they were just regular potatoes. I could tell that they're the same potatoes they use. They just repackaged them in Syracuse as salt potatoes, but it's the same potatoes. But
Okay.
I got the kids their favorites. I got them donuts and muffins, and they said it tasted like home. I got myself some coffee. There's like a Jamaican coffee. It's a blend of rum and vanilla that I was able to pick up.
Uh-huh.
That's delicious and yummy. And then I also picked up some 1911, which is the hard cider from Syracuse.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and I was able to get a Wegman sub, and it was a great time.
What? Oh, your mic messed up again. It's always fun when you get to go back home and experience that stuff, especially because you don't get to go to New York. Do you go to New York pretty often?
No,
Okay.
no, that was the other thing. It was great to be back in New York. It
Yeah.
was just, it was home. It was home.
Right. No, I get it because I think I take that for advantage because I go to Louisiana at least once a year. So I still get that nostalgia,
But
versus you don't get it that often.
I don't get it that often. And there's also like a cultural thing. There's a
Mhm.
different culture in the South than there is in the North.
Right.
And you going from Atlanta to New Orleans, I mean, it's
It's
one
the
to
same
one.
thing.
It's the same
Right.
thing. Going up to New York, it's just like, I'm back.
Is everybody, I hate to say it this way, but is everybody ruder up there, or is it not? Or is it just like, because you imagine a New Yorker is like, go,
Nah,
no, it's not like that.
no,
You cut
no,
me off.
no, not really. I mean, I would say that if there is some anger, it's direct anger. Where down in the South, it's like passive aggressive anger,
Uh-huh.
where it's just people will walk. The thing that really drives me nuts down here in the South is when people are walking into like grocery stores or Walmart and you're trying to park your car and they're
Uh-huh.
crossing the crosswalk and they just walk really slowly. And sometimes they'll just look at you like, F you, you're waiting for me.
Right.
Like that passive aggressive anger. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen up there, but it feels different.
I got you. Yeah, there's nothing worse than when you're waiting and people could tell you're waiting. You're in your car and you're trying to be nice and let them cross in front of you, and they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna take my time.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
that's all I have. You have
that's
anything else?
no, I think that's it. Jason from Toy Fair. It
Jason
was
from
cool seeing all the pictures, man, and having our own sleuth on the floor of Toy Fair.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a last minute thing. I wasn't even sure I'd be going.
Mhm.
A lot of great stuff. It was great to see the retro collection in person. It was just a surprise. There was no announcement. It was just out on the table, and I was just like, "Oh, I need to go over there."
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for the same thing with the Epic universe. I was talking to my son, and he was like, friends and family days are coming. I'm like, dude, get me a ticket. So I think it'll be the same thing. He goes, you may have like at the most 2-3 weeks notice
Yeah,
if you're lucky.
I had a day.
Yeah.
I had a day to get up to New York.
Yeah. Well, at least you kind of were able to mentally prepare for it,
Yeah.
and then you were like, okay, cool, it's happening.
It's happening. Well, as we like to say, thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out, points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We love feed.
Did it just die again? Maybe it's the cord.
Maybe I just need a new cord. You can hear me again, right?
Yeah.
We love feedback and we love to make you part of the show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People, collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Pass on.
What you've learned. Is that a proprietary cord?
I could probably talk. And
Yeah, it picks you up.
Hello?
There it is. Now you're back.
Hi. I'm back. I'll be buying a new cord today.
Yeah.
Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community.